Right, I know I say this in a lot of videos, but I do need to make this especially clear in this one in particular. So before we start talking about what I want to talk about today, I do want to make it very clear, not a professional. I don't know if you've been able to tell throughout like the years, months, days, or however long you've been watching me on this channel, I'm not a marine biologist. I mean, that might come as a shock to a lot of you watching these videos. I do realize I'm a man of many talents, but this isn't one of them. But this is a situation that has completely blown up on the internet, especially on TikTok and whatnot, so I'm going to talk about today, which just so happens to be my only expertise, really. So the main place you need to be aware of for this to all make sense is this aquarium right here called Aquarium and Shark Lab by TeamECCO. As you can see, there's a picture of it right here. This is in North Carolina, I believe. We can go through some of the pictures. You can kind of get a gist of what it is, right? It's an aquarium at the end of the day. We all know what an aquarium is, and in fact, actually, I'll go back to this picture. This is the important one, because this right here is Charlotte the Stingray, a stingray that millions of people are worried about right now. Now, as you can see right here, TeamECCO, the people who have this aquarium, actually have a full-on TikTok account based around Charlotte the Stingray. I mean, if we just look at some of the views that these videos are getting, we've got something like 4.8 million views, 2.7, 4.6, 3.2, like millions of people are very interested in Charlotte the Stingray. Now, you might be wondering, why are millions of people interested in this stingray in particular? And that is for a very good reason. And this is because back in February, they posted a video showing an ultrasound for Charlotte the Stingray.
Yeah. Look, it's flapping! Yeah. It's flapping!
Okay, as you can tell, they're very, very excited. A lot of people are also very excited. And this is because this pregnancy in particular is a pretty different one. I mean, if we look at the caption of this video, it says, "Take a look at our Stingray Charlotte ultrasound. Charlotte is a California round stingray who is currently expecting. The thing is, we have no male rays in the tank. One possibility is that the babies have gone through the process called parthenogenesis, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, where the cell inside the egg splits on its own and creates an exact clone of the mother." And it's where like a lot of memes started, people were saying that this was like the miracle stingray, Jesus stingray, so many other different names. Because basically one possibility here is that Charlotte is pregnant on her own, like with the help of no other people, which again, miracle stingray if you want to call it that. But saying that, they do also go on to suggest another possibility, which is a much more bizarre one. It says, "Another possibility is that she was impregnated by one of our two male white-spotted bamboo sharks that we introduced into the tank in July 2023. We won't know for sure until DNA testing is done on Charlotte's pups. Stay tuned for updates on the pregnancy." So as you just heard, the other possibility they're giving here is that Charlotte is going to give birth to like a crossbreed of a shark and a stingray. Now, this suggestion already raised a lot of alarm bells from a lot of professionals, a lot of marine biologists, because they say that this possibility is just completely ridiculous. I mean, as we can see in this article by Scientific American, it says, "Experts say that's extraordinarily unlikely. On power suggesting a lion and a wolf could have baby wolves or wolvians." So the reason why this raised a lot of alarm bells is because the fact that they would even suggest that this is a possibility makes people think that they don't really know what they're doing here. Now, this article does go on to say that there's another explanation for Charlotte's impending motherhood, and it's not much less weird. She almost certainly impregnated herself, a phenomenon known as parthenogenesis. Which, I mean, that in itself is a pretty crazy story. You can see why people would still be interested with that being the case. In fact, in this article, it does go on to say that quite a variety of species of sharks and rays are known to reproduce like that in captivity, says Chapman, who studied the first known case of parthenogenesis in a hammerhead shark, which occurred in 2001. We even have evidence of one species of ray doing it in the wild. So clearly, as we're reading here, this is very possible. But this is where the problem started, because as we see here, a stingray's pregnancy lasts between 3 to 4 months. And the reason why this is a big concern is because, as we've seen in this article by the Citizen Times, it says that they first noticed a sign of pregnancies in Charlotte in September 2023. Now, just to give you a little spoiler here, Charlotte still hasn't given birth to this day. So instead of the usual 3 to 4 months of a pregnancy in a stingray, this has lasted about 8 months. Now, as you can imagine, a lot of people are concerned about this. We actually have an article here by the National Desk that says, "We don't fully understand why parthenogenesis occurs and under what conditions, and in fact, it doesn't look to be terribly successful." And it even carries on to say, in fact, a lot of the offspring don't do well and many of them don't survive. And Dr. Law continues here, who, by the way, is a professor in marine biology, and he mentioned some reasons why this pregnancy could take longer. He says diapause is this temporary stop of development, and it turns out that in rays, this is somewhat common. So if the female is stressed, if she is nutritionally underweight, she might actually put her embryos on pause. Now, there's also a few other reasons why this could happen, but either way, this is still way longer than it should be, regardless of these facts that we just mentioned. And then it's at this point that people start questioning the aquarium. Marine biologists were even saying that when they were looking at the data on the ultrasound, it looked all like muddled up and wrong, and they couldn't really work out what was going on here. And a few of them seem to believe that the reason for this is because the aquarium maybe don't know what they're doing with a case like this. So at this point, you would think that the aquarium would bring in like medical professionals and veterinarians to come in and actually have a look, people who know exactly what they're doing. It seems like this didn't happen for a long time, but we'll get to that. I mean, just to put in perspective how long this has actually been, there was articles coming out in February that were suggesting that the babies were ready to be birthed like any second now.
So you can go online and you can find articles from news sources as far away as the Daily Mail in the UK about Charlotte the Stingray, talking about her ultrasounds, saying that they think that she has 4 pups and she's ready to give birth anytime.
So yeah, as you can see, people had a lot of reason to be concerned, and the concerns only increased when the TikTok account run by this aquarium showing Charlotte the Stingray just stopped posting. I mean, here we have the last video of Charlotte the Stingray on this TikTok account, and it was posted back in April, and it's just kind of like a normal video, and the caption says Charlotte is doing well and enjoys interacting with guests and divers and so on and so on. But after giving so many consistent updates throughout the pregnancy, for them to just stop uploading out of nowhere a month ago, people start like jumping to conclusions. I mean, here we actually have a video that was posted by the Daily Mail saying that experts were fearing that the babies have actually died.
Experts fear Charlotte the Virgin Stingray's babies could be dead, as world questions why she is taking so long to give birth after immaculate conception. The excitement surrounding Charlotte, the Virgin Stingray, soared when the Aquarium and Shark Lab in Hendersonville announced her pregnancy in early February, suggesting imminent birth. However, as time passes, doubts grow. A marine biology expert from California State University has suggested that Charlotte's babies might not have survived, or that she could even abort the embryos.
There was also videos that were uploaded from people who went to the aquarium after we saw the last visual update for Charlotte on the TikTok account, and they said the reason for this is because it looks like Charlotte has like a large open sore.
I was sent this photo from the anonymous local who visited TeamECCO this week. Charlotte the Stingray has a large open sore now on her back that did not appear back on May 4th. So I have a feeling this is why TeamECCO has stopped bringing us any pictures, any photos. They don't want questions being opened about why Charlotte has open wounds. She always had a few small nicks and scrapes, which they said did come from the small sharks in her tank, which that is common behavior. But now she has open wounds on her back, large ones.
But after a lot of speculation and a lot of people who were worried about Charlotte, we finally then got some updates. Now, this first one was posted this month that says, Charlotte has shown very little change this past week. As the care of our animal family is of utmost importance, we have aligned with expanded support and medical teams of qualified veterinarians for additional testing. Now, as you can probably imagine, the big response to this statement was just basically, why didn't you do this before? Like, surely with how rare this case is, I mean, you knew from the start that Charlotte was not impregnated by another stingray or anything like that, right? We probably think it is parthenogenesis at this point. We also know there can be a lot of complications with this. It's very rarely successful. Surely at that point, you would bring in the professionals to make sure that Charlotte is looked after as well as possible. Or at the very, very least, as soon as Charlotte was pregnant for 3 to 4 months and was past like due date or whatever, bring in the professionals, because clearly something could be going wrong here. But like I said, that update was this month. It was actually a few weeks ago at this point, but just a few days ago, we got a new, very bizarre update. Good morning. Let me, on behalf of TeamECCO, thank you all for your continued patience and support throughout this journey. After talking with Charlotte, we agreed she should write her own update later today. As trying and hard as all of these events have been on us, please look to her side. Like us, Charlotte is awaiting word from her team of vets. Nothing in life, science, or time is certain. We continue to support and care for Charlotte every day. Please trust that when we know more to share, we will. Charlotte will update this evening. Thank you so very much. So not only do we have this miracle virgin stingray that is about to give birth, we also have a miracle virgin stingray that's about to give birth that can also talk. Now, with the way they worded this, saying like, oh, Charlotte's gonna bring you the update instead, it almost made it seem as if, oh, okay, maybe she's actually like giving birth. Like, we're gonna actually see the babies here, and that's kind of gonna be the way that Charlotte is gonna show the update, because we're gonna see the babies. Well, that didn't happen. In fact, the update later that evening also didn't happen, and this post was actually deleted. But we did later get an update after that post was deleted. I believe this was like 1 or 2 days after that post was made, and it was actually posted 4 days ago as I'm recording this video, and it says, Charlotte continues to appear healthy and has shown little to no change in any of her behaviours or temperament. There is no new information to share at this time. As more information comes available, we will share it directly. We appreciate your support as we continue our care for Charlotte and strive to better understand this area of science. So basically, as we can gather from this update, is that there's not really an update. And now at this point, people are getting very impatient with this aquarium in particular. I mean, we got a comment here that says, we are all being catfished by a stingray 2024. Charlotte's pups are set to graduate from college at this point. And then we've also got a lot of comments from people believing that this whole thing was like a publicity stunt or a hoax. I mean, here's a comment just saying, I'm beginning to feel like this is a publicity stunt. Am I the only one that thinks this pregnancy is a hoax and a way for them to get interest into their aquarium? This feels like a publicity stunt at this point. Like, yeah, there's clearly a lot of people that do believe this. I don't know if they think that the pregnancy like never happened. I mean, Charlotte definitely did seem to get a lot bigger and definitely looked pregnant. So it does seem like that happened. Or maybe they believe that Charlotte has lost the babies, which would be extremely unfortunate, but also very common with stingrays when they become pregnant like this. And maybe they believe that the aquarium is just keeping this story running to bring them more attention, because they were getting a lot of attention, right? The videos are getting millions of views. I can only imagine that the amount of people that went to the aquarium must have increased like massively as this story got bigger. I also saw people that were suggesting that Charlotte has been replaced by another stingray. Like, there were a lot of like conspiracies going around. I don't know if any of them are true. Obviously, I don't know exactly what's happened to you, but that's what people are saying. I would like to think that this aquarium are just telling the truth and somehow there is no updates, even though we're going on to this being like an actual like human pregnancy and the length that it's taken at this point. But yeah, this situation is just completely taken over social media at this point on TikTok. It's all I can actually really see that's going on at the minute. It's all people want to talk about. The best possible conclusion that could come out of this is that Charlotte is okay, first of all, and that she also gives birth to 4 babies, I think people were believing. I think it was 4, and they're all healthy. That's obviously the best possible solution here, but you can see why people would be worried. But either way, I am going to leave the video there. I would love to know your opinions on everything I spoke about in the comment section down below. Also, if you enjoyed the video, leave a like, subscribe, all that stuff, and until the next one, I'll see you guys in a bit. Alright, goodbye.